Trump travel ban redux. 12 countries, their nationals have been banned from entering the US. It comes into effect a little later, though, in a few days of time. So some lag time is there, some leeway is there for people to make sure that they have the right arrangements so that they're no longer in the US when they're no longer required, because Donald Trump said we don't need these people. Now, what are the ramifications of this? And we'll also talk about why have certain countries been included and some excluded, although they fit that criteria that's been involved for inclusion in this list. We're joined by our guest, Major General Dhruv C. Katoch, retired. He's Director, India Foundation. Good evening to you, General Katoch. What do you make of this version of this Trump travel ban 2.0? It's slightly different from the first time around that Donald Trump imposed these travel bans, and that was also a fairly chaotic step carried out in a very chaotic manner. This time around, things might be different, do you think?
Thank you, Gautam. Gautam, very frankly, it's very difficult to interpret what President Trump really has in mind. But in this particular case, the travel ban on the countries which he has given, it is self-evident that these are the countries which have a certain measure of hostility to the United States. And in each of these countries, there is no specific commercial, trade, or any other interest which the US has with them. So I don't see the US having seeing any geopolitical advantage in any of the countries which they have banned. You have countries like Somalia and Iran in this grouping. So for him, I think for President Trump, I think it makes a reasonable degree of sense as far as this ban is concerned. However, the concern, of course, the larger concern, as you have mentioned in your opening remarks, is certain countries which have been left out, and that we will see as to how that plays out.
Yes, because if terrorism and state-sponsored terrorism is one of the criteria, there are two more prominent ones. Visa overstay is one as well. Why isn't Pakistan on this list?
No, you see, while I have spoken with quite a few Americans, including some of their diplomats in the last few years, and the question of Pakistan always comes up. And the response which I have been given is that we understand we have certain challenges with Pakistan, but they fulfill our geopolitical interests. Now, I think Trump is looking beyond Pakistan at this point of time. He's looking very closely at Afghanistan and how to build his relationship there. As it is, the US state is funding Afghanistan on a monthly basis. A large amount of the US taxpayers' money is really going into Afghanistan right now. And they are looking at a future by which their presence or their influence will remain in Afghanistan. And I think for that purpose, they need Pakistan. So regardless of the fact that Pakistan continues to support terrorism, especially as we have seen when we are looking at organizations like the Lashkar-e-Taiba and others, the Hizbul Mujahideen and others, their headquarters are based in Pakistan. Yet we find the Americans and the West aren't really too concerned about it because they aren't being directly impacted. So so far as it concerns American interest and Western interest, I don't think terrorism is the key. The key only comes in as to what are America's geostrategic interests or commercial interests. And let us say if they weren't being impacted, I presume then he may have actually gone in for the ban on Pakistan. But I don't see that happening. In fact, I see the relationship between Pakistan and United States, while not being not becoming very cozy, at least I don't see them getting too far distant from each other. Gautam.
But the other thing is that Donald Trump, its strategic rival of America is China, and with steps like these, isn't Donald Trump alienating these countries and pushing them in China's direction? Because look at the kind of things, look at the kind of concerns the African Union has raised today.
Actually, that may be so, that certain actions of Trump's are putting those countries away, and most likely they will fall into the lap of China. But I don't think President Trump is too concerned about that. I have a feeling that he is going to go in for a deal with China. And should that happen, and if they go in for a deal with China, I'm quite convinced that China will even dump bricks to to have a deal which they consider worthwhile with the United States. So everybody at this point of time is playing for their own interest. They are not looking at gaining influence worldwide in that sense. So even for China, if necessary, they will dump bricks, they will dump everything else, and if they get a good trade deal, they'll jump in with the Americans. That I think will present a larger danger for India than President Trump cozying up with the Pakistanis.
Okay, so how should India then conduct itself? Because Trump and Xi have just had a phone call today.
No, yes, and I think as per President Trump's statement, he was quite happy with the way that phone call went.
Yes.
So I see a rapprochement taking place with between the United States and China. How long that will last, we will see, because there are other ramifications also, especially with respect to the way the Russia-China relationship is developing. So, considering that, as far as India is concerned, I think we are doing everything right. We are following a reasonably independent policy. We have got different interests as far as the Indo-Pacific is concerned, and we have got different interests as far as the continental shelf is concerned, and we are following these separately. Indian policy has dehyphenated itself from all these conflict areas, and I think that has been a very positive step on the last 10 years. So, whichever way it goes, I think we will maintain our interest, regardless of the fact that the Americans go with the Chinese and with the Pakistanis. We will have good relationship with the Russians, with the United States, with Europe, and I think we will have a sort of a working relationship with China also.
Okay, let's also quickly talk about how this time around there's a partial ban as well on certain countries, and there are exemptions too that have been given in terms of those who will not be required to leave the US apart from all the others, and these exemptions also include sports persons and coaches, because the US is hosting major global sporting events in the coming couple of years. But apart from that, what do you make of these kind of provisions?
No, I think President Trump is really working to his own constituency at home. He's got the MAGA constituency, and he will really do everything he can to preserve those interests. As far as these exemptions are concerned, again, anything which suits the Americans, I think he will have a waiver for those particular groups of people. Now, I don't see that being extended to the education sector as far as the colleges are concerned, because that is not really his vote bank, and that is not the MAGA grouping either. But in all other things, like in sports or something, or anything else where he feels that it may be advantageous to the United States, the morality and principles do not come in. Their American interests, or what he perceives to be American interests, will come in, and that's the way he's going to play the game.
And the last time round when this sort of a travel ban was imposed, the US Supreme Court had approved it. So it would be safe to assume that if this set of bans, the latest set of bans, if it's challenged somehow in the judiciary, then again Donald Trump will emerge as someone to have taken a well thought out step.
You see, even if the travel, if the ban is overturned, it will be done by the lower level courts. As far as the American states are concerned, and then after that he will simply go to the Supreme Court and get it overturned. But at this point of time, the sense I get is that the American public opinion, especially his constituency, is very firmly behind him. And I haven't seen any ripple effects of any of his policies within the majority of the Americans which form part of his constituency. So I don't see any changes taking place.
And going further, do you feel that there might be more additions, subtractions, some variations where this travel ban is concerned?
I think it is going to be, the education sector is going to be very seriously affected. Once, simply because the way the way wokeism has developed in most of the American universities, it was something which many people found repulsive, including me, when I used to watch what is happening in the United States. You cannot have universities running political agendas of that nature and affecting all students. I remember there was a student from India who had gone, whom I had met when he was here, and when he went back to the States, that was about a few months back, he was surrounded by people and they said, "Do you support Hamas?" And when he said, "I don't support any political party, I'm a neutral person," they nearly beat him up, So we had a culture which was existing in the United States, which is being overturned now, which I think is being welcomed by a large number of people. The academics won't be, the educational institutes may not be very happy, but I think that is the way it is going, and I personally don't think it is a bad thing the way the education systems are being attempted to be changed as far as the US is concerned.
All right, let's see how things develop from here. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, General Katoch.